You're welcome back to the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Cocoa Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our news review here. And joining me are two of my co-hosts in the persons of Miss Miriam Abnadede and Mr. Clement Yabankwe, looking beautiful and handsome this morning.
As always. Yeah,
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
I'm doing so well. I'm grateful to God for the opportunity to say this day. And I'll just have to be brief about my gratitude, because if I should say everything today,
what will you say
what
tomorrow?
will I say tomorrow?
Oh my goodness.
So I'm just grateful.
She's grateful because it's salary week. Yeah, you see. She's dancing.
Make you know louder, Low key.
So, Ira, in terms of when it comes to monetary aspects, we don't talk about it on air. We
Family members, friends, they are all
We
watching.
are creating a lot of so talk and
Debtors are all watching.
It's not easy. So
Ekene, they are all
please,
watching.
Yes.
Yes.
God has been so grateful, and viewers should expect nothing but the best from Cocoa Digest Morning Show.
Okay.
That's what I'll say.
Wow. Thank you so much. Well, for me, I'm just glad we are getting closer to the weekend. I'm tired to rest.
There is no rest for us, Yaira, because even next week we are finding ourselves in Cape Coast, to celebrate our fashion.
Yes. Clement's people. So now he'll be giving us the fancy.
Oh, Mimi is there.
Yeah, Mimi.
Listen there. Dependent on the name no. Yaroko Ugwa. Na yedu ha. Yeze afasha ne mu nsem ni ababre hene
Nani.
Please, I beg you, I can't let fancy in addition. I'm tired. The girl crying. Okay, so let's get into it quickly. My trending news officers, Mimi's favorite new. What's up?
Yaira, so we have a good news today because a young man who I think some years ago, let me say 3 years ago, stood on his grounds to, defy all the odds and set his own standard, has proven to a lot of Ghanaians that the things we see outside, the physical things we see attached to our bodies, are not the things that determine who we are or who we will be. And I'm talking about this young Rastafarian boy, Tyrone Magai, if I got the name right, the Achimota School alumnus. He has made national headlines for his fight to wear dreadlocks to school, and has been awarded a full scholarship to study computer engineering at a prestigious university in the United States of America.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And this story didn't just start with this. We know he was part of the best students from Achimota School, regardless of the whole court issues, surrounding their case. He was able to come out with, flying colors.
I remember following that story, and it made absolutely no sense.
Exactly.
That because of one's hair,
he will
go
to
court. You can't have access to school. And yet, if it was a Caucasian person coming into Achimota School, would there have been an issue about whether to cut that person's hair or not?
I don't think so.
Because I'm sure we all had people from other countries in our schools in SHS. And they just get to do whatever they want to their hair, hold it nicely. And so why? Because the dreadlocks is not African hair that has been styled. What possible contribution or deduction would it make to your academics? So
for what I know for the ladies is the fact that they play with their hair, and so usually they get distracted.
It is hair that distracts?
No, wait. When they are studying. And so that is why they decided that a lot of us, or all of us, should cut our hair so that we will be equal. Some also feel because they have hair, they kind of look, how do I even put it? It's like they are better than the others. Let me put it in that way. There's that kind of stereotype in that circle.
Okay. Well, I remember even seeing a theory about the colonial times that even now, based on racist behaviors and things, our African hair is not as appealing, or is deemed as less appealing compared to, the straighter and more wavy hair types. So apparently in the colonial times, that lack of appeal of our hair to the imperialists was what actually sort of caused them to want to make them just cut their hair, because it's like, if it's all grown and styled, it doesn't look nice to them, because even though our styles are beautiful. Okay. And it has taken Africans a very long time to be able to appreciate having their own hair on their heads. You know, as much as I'm wearing a wig,
I'm not wearing a wig.
You know, it's
I like the fact that
these
Clemens
natural hairstyles
comments on my hair a lot.
That's what. So
he likes natural things.
Yes, that's true. I like natural things. So this kind of conversation, I think we need to talk more into it. But let's quickly move into the other aspect of the news.
Yes, because aside, if we had actually even taken up this hair thing so seriously, look at the kind of blockage Ghana would have brought on to this guy, because aside being one of the best students, he's going to an Ivy League school, right?
Yeah.
And imagine if the government or the school had won that case, what would have been this boy's fate?
I think it would have, affected his academics.
Yes, his life.
To lose
just because of something growing on his head, a natural part of his body. And honestly, we need to check our standards again as a society, because this makes absolutely no sense.
I have a daughter that has beautiful hair, and just because of education, I have to cut everything off. Maybe in future, she could be a brand ambassador for hair products or something.
Regardless, we are glad that things didn't take the other turn. He did get to keep his hair. He did excel. And I'm sure it goes to show that it goes beyond just your looks. What is in your head, it doesn't matter what is on your body. You will still be able to make it. And I'm sure the people who were fighting against him now look at him, and I'm sure they're ashamed. And I'm happy about that. Because how many people even from here get to go to Ivy League schools to start with? So imagine the kind of grades he has. Because I know, in trying to Japa, we check the schools out, and the GPA requirement,
and then the scholarship. I think over $1.something million.
All of this, and he could have lost it just because of his hair.
So I think the education system needs to look into that.
Our society too.
Yes, I have one news trending, so we're just moving. That's the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations. He says that pensions management has strengthened. That government has strengthened pensions management. That is when he was addressing. He made a point that 25% of pensioners on Social Security, that's what has increased. Has increased by 25% to the Social Security. He also made mention for the fact that government has implemented the Ghana Jobs and Skills Project to support skills development and job creation regarding to all pensions activity. Yes, so that's what we have.
That's some good news. And, as I always say, I hope it is not just something they are saying in words, because just yesterday, some people demonstrated that their monies were locked up, some pensioners. And so if we are saying there is this change or transformation in the pension sector, I think it has to impact the lives of the people in that sector.
Wow. Yes. Please don't forget to send in your comments to our WhatsApp number that will be displayed on your screens. You can even send them to our live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Just search for Clock TV and you will find us, and join in the conversation. Call a friend and text a friend. So, do you guys have any other news?
Oh, just in a minute. In a minute, I saw something very interesting that I want to just talk about. So, very hardworking, enterprising journalist takes on a side job, and she sells cocoa. So a journalist has taken on a side job selling cocoa on the streets. I think it's something that is also trending, that it is encouraging us that regardless of the economic situations we find ourselves, let's all look for side jobs. Clement.
That's true. That's true.
Now,
because you can't rely on one.
One stream of income.
Yes.
I was just about to say that now with the way the economy is going, about 2 or 3 extra cushions for yourself.
It's true.
And As long as the business is booming, and of course there isn't that stigma that it's a job that is branded in a certain way, and is that she or he? She. And she's excelling, then kudos to her. We too will start ours.
Very soon.
Okay. So I have here, we need $5 billion to effectively address flooding nationwide.
Okay.
And this is from the Ghana Hydrological Authority. So the Ghana Hydrological Authority has announced a need for $5 billion to address the country's flood issues effectively. And in 2023, it received 92 million Ghana cedis under the National Flood Control Program, which it views as inadequate. And Dr. John Kisi, the authority's CEO, emphasized that the $5 billion is essential for comprehensive flood prevention and management nationwide. He also noted that the 92 million Ghana cedis allocated for 2023 is not enough for the necessary flood mitigation efforts. And I quote, "The work that we've done looking at the flood waste challenges across the country, we estimate that we need about $5 billion across the country to address comprehensively the flood waste challenges we have. That is looking across every city and every town in every region of the country," he stated.
Interesting. Wow. So with this story, yesterday I watched the video, the interaction that went on, and considering the downturn economic, crisis the country is facing, it looks more unrealistic to budget of about $5 billion for such an investment or project. But I think it is high time that we, how do I put it, we invest in long or large scale projects, investments, so that it helps us in future rather than doing it in bits. I know they were giving $92 million, which is not Ghana cedis, which is not even half, close to $1 billion that they requested. And the issue of flood in this country, we all know, each and every year we face situations of flood in this country, which is something that does not look like it's ending anytime soon, right? From large floods to, minor. It doesn't just affect the land and other things, but look at the properties and then the lives, flood, flood issues take all. But you see, all I'm just trying to say is that if we should invest, or if government should have invested the $5 billion in this project, I think it would have helped us or kept some of the repercussions that came afterwards.
Okay. So
you get it?
Yes, I get you. But I'm also from the point that $5 billion United States dollars is not a small amount of money.
I get it.
Even the money we went for from IMF, it's around $3 billion.
Yeah.
USD. So what we went to borrow, that we just want to cushion ourselves, is $3 billion, and you are demanding $5 billion USD. So the question is, so when you watch the video, as you said, the chair for the Parliamentary Assurance Committee was surprised. It was like dollars, because it's like, yes, very huge.
Yeah.
So what we want as Ghanaians is the 92 million Ghana cedis. What did you use it for?
Accountability.
Come and account for that. Let's know. Give us the detail. The 92 million, this is what I use it for.
Yeah.
So when Ghanaians get to understand, okay, use the 92 million for this, then let's give you the rest you are requesting for. Because the truth of the matter, this $5 billion won't come any moment from now.
Yeah.
And since that money is not coming, you can't say you are staying just there and waiting till $5 billion comes. You should do something.
Yeah.
And this authority, I read something small about them. It was inaugurated in 2022, not long ago. Under that's Ministry of Housing. They inaugurated this authority. So in 2022, it became an authority. In 2023, they've given you 92 million Ghana cedis. At least you should try to.
You see,
you should try to work around it, because the truth of the matter is we have a lot of demands in this country. So if one aspect is taking 5 billion, what about the other aspect? What about the other aspect? So the little we get, let's manage it. As we said, let the public know what to use that money for, then we take it from there.
So I want to ask, was there a breakdown as to what this $5 billion will be allocated for?
Yes, there was.
There was, okay. Because I know that off the top of my head, I can pinpoint two main things that are responsible for our floods.
Yeah.
Waste management and then our settlement patterns in this country. Every and anybody is dumping rubbish anywhere, anyhow. We have dams in this country filled with rubbish. I think in 2019, I saw the Owabi Dam in Ashanti region. It's just full of filth. We have people, like even the other day, we were talking about it, that sometimes the refuse, the bins are put at vantage points. People go and take their home rubbish and come and dump it there, overloading it. And then here, even our waste management on a larger scale is not the best. Because look at all these Zoom Lion and other waste management systems. They don't even come on time. We had Agbogbloshie Market even complaining about the rubbish issues. And then the settlements, our lands here. We have chieftains and landowners and things like that selling, all kinds of lands that have been marked as waterways and things like that. People will build, and then when it rains, your house is standing in the way of that part of the land that should allow water to flow, causing, even there are certain places that are waterlogged that shouldn't have buildings there. And yet we have these things there, and it's causing these floods. So now we even have a sort of term that if you want to rent or buy a house, go in the rainy season.
Sure.
So if you have decided you want 5 billion for this, then I hope that these are some of the things that are going to be addressed. How our waste management is going to be, sensitization of the people as well. Because once the government tends to provide one or two things, everybody abide there, and then they don't take that corporate responsibility that we all need. Because we have people even till now. I mean, I remember as kids, they used to tell us, don't dump refuse in the gutter, look for a bin. But we still have grown men and women who dump refuse in the gutters and say the water will take it away. Take it away to where? And then the last one, is our rivers. People are encroaching on those water bodies because there's no land. So now the flow of the water it tends to change. It's even drying up and things like that. The water has to find a way around. All of these things are things that should be considered. It shouldn't just be money that we need this large amount of money to handle it. Our choked gutters and rivers, or even water bodies that have so much filth in them. What happened to the desilting? I know, look at Kolegono. Apparently, Kolegono used to be, the Kole Lagoon, it used to be a water body that you could even fish from at a point. But now, if they throw you in it, you will probably die.
Die, of course. Yaira, I'm not trying to sound defensive on the part of the hydrological authority, but you see, all these things that you're mentioning has to do with money, right? And everything that you're saying was budgeted in that 5 billion that they requested for. And so if we only prioritized how we're going to make this effective, I think it would have solved a lot of problems. All these things you are talking about, waste management, high population and all those things, education, sensitization, all these things come with money.
Then I think that they should defend it properly.
Yes.
Give us an extensive explanation of how you're going to use this 5 billion, because 5 billion is a lot.
I understand the point, but my point is we know the current economic issue we find ourselves. And if one authority is demanding 5 billion, what would Ghana Highway Authority also demand for?
So at least give them something close to the amounts they requested for. Because this issue, in as much as the immediate economic issues, this is a very serious issue that is happening in the country.
5 billion. My point is, what you are using it for, is it feasible enough? Are you going to tell us that you are going to import this or do that? Like, you see how we tend to receive the kind of information that seems, it's almost superficial. It's like building castles in the air, just saying anything to get our attention, but let's bring it down, because sensitization and education of the people is something that will go a very, very long way.
And
if you've done all the machinery and you don't educate the people, it won't work.
Yeah, not to cut you short. Ghana, the authority, it's full of engineers.
Yeah.
And these engineers, I don't know, but if they are, when you go to various municipal and district assemblies, the building permits given to people to build their houses, it's engineers who are responsible for that.
Okay.
So I don't know. We raise a concern about settlement. You give someone a building permit. You yourself, you are aware that the building permits are given to the person. That place is a waterlogged. Why should you give the building permit in the first place? At the end of the day, you want the government to do what? Invest.
And sometimes too, they tell you this is a waterlogged area, and then the person still insists, I want it. I will fill it with, gravels and build on it.
You see, I now understand where Yaira is coming from. Education. You should be able to stop the person. You should be able to stop the person. So this is what that we need to put in place. Let's get to understand that, this place is no-go area. Don't do it. Simple. Let the person understand. Rather than you give the person the go-ahead, the person will build, and if it is flat, and government need to step in. Step in to do what?
And I even forgot to mention recycling. If they are going to talk about the fact that they are going to invest heavily in recycling as a means of waste management, this is something that can get people to back them. But even Ghana, the small recycling we've been doing, what is it even amounting to? Because there's so much plastic waste.
Exactly.
So we need alternatives. We need feasible solutions so that at least this 5 billion can make sense to everybody.
And I also want to add that the 92 million Ghana cedis that was given to them, that they are saying is not enough. Now I'm coming down to Clement and Yaira's level. I just want to tell them that there's no way they're going to get all the 5 billion they want. And so they should have some kind of phased or sectional investment at places that are very vulnerable when it comes to flooding, right? So we look for flood-prone areas and we tackle the issues from that area first, right? They can also partner with, private sectors to,
With that, they've done a lot. Last 2 months, they visited Cape Coast. They were working on the coastal. They've engaged in a lot of that. But we are requesting for bring the breakdown. Let's know what to use it for. I think that's all.
Even with the settlement thing, because of this rural-urban drift, we have so many slums here in Accra. I think Accra has one of the highest flood numbers, if I'm not mistaken. And it goes back to just developing the country infrastructure. It's just a vicious cycle we are in. Anyway, yes, Clement, your story.
Yeah, so this is a graphic business, and we have page 9 of Tuesday Graphic Business. He says that 2024 media budget review has IMF program improved our lots 2 years on. So they just want to find out that after we go into IMF, have we gotten any recovery in our aspect of the economy? We want viewers to share their thoughts on this very story. Let's hear their comment. Do you think the IMF has helped us? If yes, let's know. If not, let's know. Yes, that's all I'll say.
So my last story here says, so this one I'm sure Clement will give us extensive explanation. Say you're the businessman. So the next of kin does not automatically inherit the account of the deceased. Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana has issued a notice to clarify the role of a next of kin in bank account matters, correcting the misconception that a next of kin automatically inherits funds from a deceased account holder. The bank explained that next of kin is often misinterpreted, while the next of kin is usually the closest living relative listed as a contact for the account holder. This status does not provide automatic access to or inheritance of the account's funds after the account holder's death. To inherit or access a deceased person's account, an individual must be named as a beneficiary in the will or obtain letters of probate or be appointed as an administrator through letters of administration if no will exists.
I don't agree with Bank of Ghana on
if it was debt, the next of kin would have been liable.
Why should this be too difficult? Why? I have chosen someone to be my next of kin. If I'm no more, give everything I have to the person. Why should this be difficult?
So, Mimi, let's calm down.
Take us to church.
This is banking sector. So coming down, I don't know, but those of us here, maybe during your opening of account, you use, let's say, your sister or let's say your mother as your next of kin. Maybe you happen not to change it till you passed on. Before you make such a decision that you want your mom to be your next of kin, did you thought enough that when you are no more, or did you think enough that when you are no more, she will be the one to take over the finances or the money in the account?
Yes, I did.
You had that good decision. Yeah, right, you did.
Yes, I have nobody. No, my mother.
So the person should take charge.
Yeah.
So I think what Bank of Ghana is trying to say, yes, next of kin is banking regulation. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
If you don't provide it, you can't open an account there. But that doesn't mean that the person has sole control of your account or of your money when the person
They started with access. You are talking about control. At least with control, you already have access. This one is access.
Yeah, so let me get there. That means the person does not have control over the money in the account. Why? Because maybe when I was alive, I have my will. When you go to the PNDC law 111, it talks about inheritance. And in inheritance, they make you understand that the will, if you have a will, the will will supersede this next of kin that we are talking about. But if there's no will that's to you, the PNDC law would also exceed the next of kin. So what Bank of Ghana is trying to tell us is that though you have a next of kin, but the person does not have access to the account. Before you get access to your account, you need to have a letter of, I think you talked about it, probate, right?
Probate or letters of administration.
Or letters of administration before the person gets access to the account.
So if I understand right, if I name Clement as my next of kin in my bank account, and then Mimi is my first daughter and she's supposed to inherit maybe a certain percentage of my, well, that would be a conflict.
If that is in your will.
In my will. So in my will, if Mimi is named and then you are named in my bank account, then Mimi would have to.
Yes.
Then they should put it that way.
So the perception of the next of kin is just to contact the person in case of emergency. That's the meaning of next of kin.
So you
when
can
you go
contact.
to the
They should have just explained it.
So you can contact the person, but you can't give the person their money to go and bury me.
No, you can't give the person the money. No, you can't give the person.
But okay, so if I was in debt, maybe I owed some money to Bank of Ghana. And now my next of kin.
Oh yeah. So in case of emergency, it's emergency.
They have to contact your next of kin.
So with that one, does my next of kin have automatic access to this debt that they have to pay?
That is a question for the gods.
So when it happens like that, you are next of kin. So they will call it that this A, B, or C had happened. So if you have a means that you can help out, you do that. You do that. Maybe you sit with, let's say, myself and Mimi is my next of kin. I'm owing. Mimi would now have to sit down with me. How are you going to pay the debts and everything? That is how it's going to work. So next of kin is just there in case of emergency.
And I also think in situations where you don't have a will, as Clement said, you have to ensure that the person you are putting as your next of kin has all the necessary information about you and the account. So they can take it from there if you are no more.
So that you can even go and get the letter of administration.
Yes.
Then,
so it's not just anybody. It should be somebody that is at least.
Because
I think we need to get
of Ghana
a lawyer.
Released a notice on this. That was on 27th of August. That is when the information was out, and they said something. Let me read something small. He said the next of kin is one of such requirements during account opening. In Ghana, there is no specific statutory definition of next of kin. It generally refers to an account holder's closest living relative who could be contacted in the event the account holder is not reachable.
Okay.
That is the meaning of next of kin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Then I think we need to get a lawyer here very soon to come and teach us about, you know, putting together a will, all those legal things.
And this shouldn't also be a secret, next of kin. If your brother is your next of kin, just tell him.
Sometimes it can cause family rivalry and things like that.
Just tell him in secret, you know, or in passing.
So what, you know, Nigerian movies, they will, he hears you, you know, you've made him next of kin, he will kill you to take your money. Okay, so do we have any more stories?
There was a story on Water Limited, right?
Yes, they said they want to make sure that every corner of Ghana has access to water by 2030. Yes.
So I was so much interested in that story because they made reference to the SDG 6.
Yes.
That's the Sustainable Development Goal 6. And what does it say? SDG 6 said something. Let me quickly read. It says that seek to ensure safe drinking water and sanitation for all, focusing on the sustainable management of water resources, waste water and ecosystem, and acknowledging the importance of enabling environment. So that is what SDG 6 says. And it says in 2023, Agenda for Sustainable Development countries have committed to engage in systematic follow-up and review of progress towards the goals and targets using a set of global indicators. And SDG says, or the Sustainable Development Goal has a lot of indicators. And as at 2022, indicator 6.1.1 says that 73% of the world's population uses safely managed drinking water service. Okay. So that's 73% of the whole world population. Wow. So we have a chunk of number that's 27% who are not using safe drinking water. You see, when it comes to our community, you have a lot of places where they are either relying on borehole and wells and stuff. It's just like water, getting access to safe drinking water sometimes is difficult. Yeah. So they rely on that. It's good that Ghana Water Limited says that they want, by 2030, they want to get access to all these places. I hope
they will take into consideration, as the SDG mentions water resources. So our rivers that are being polluted by illegal, I hope that activities, they take those into account as well, and whatever also, treatments they can give to our poor rivers.
Before they embark on anything, I think there should be community engagement, because you need to ask the people what they really want. I know some communities that do not want pipe water. They will prefer borehole, maybe to something different, right? So they should ask them, or even at the point where the pipe water is going to be instituted, they have to ask them. So there should be some kind of engagement with the community members, so they get to know. And also with the quality of water, they should make sure that it is very quality. Yes. It shouldn't just be any running water.
So maybe with that, let me talk about the quality of water. According to SDG indicator, they did a survey in Ghana. So as of 2022, SDG indicator 6.1.1 says that 44% of the population of Ghana have access to safely managed drinking water service. That's 44%. Wow. Yes. And they also said, according to the 6.3.2 2023 SDG indicator, it says 83% of monitored water bodies in Ghana has good ambient water quality. Yes, 83%. Do you agree with them?
Good ambient. So it's
good
just
ambient water quality.
It's just the surface, but when you take it, it is not really quality. Just like the water we take at Pokwase. So they say it is pipe water, but when you can't drink it, it's just for bathing.
Okay. So last, let me just say one thing they talk about Ghana. Is that according to the indicator 6.5.1, it says that 60% is the degree of implementation of integrated water resources management in Ghana.
Wow.
Yes. And I don't know, what the interview with the PRO, I think, it was a PRO was speaking to the press on this very issue. And he made mention that there are a lot of plans that Ghana Water Company is putting in place in doing or making sure that in 2030 they get access to 100%. That's the target they are out talking about. And he made reference to 2020 salt cutter. Yes. I was so much interested because I really wanted to follow if that project is completed. But I know in next time, Express Update will bring viewers such information. I followed some of the sword cutting. As at 8 October 2020, the president cut sword at Shirigu, that's Upper East region, for water plant treatment or waste treatment. And it's all in line. How far with that project? It's all in line with the SDG 6 goal that they were talking about. On 10th October, same 2022, there was a salt cutting at one municipality, particularly at Perisi. It's also in line with this waste management, that SDG 6 goal. So he talked in reference to all these things that the president did. And on 9th September 2022, there was another salt cutting at Techiman South Municipality, that's the Borno East region, also in line with all this. Yes, they've done very well, but I want to see how far with that project.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Well, like we always say, we are hoping for the best.
Especially Pokwasi people, we are hoping for the best.
Yes, Pokwasi people, yes, the government will come through for you. Okay.
Because I'm surprised. We are in Accra and we don't have access to water, pipe water.
I think being Accra is the requirement.
Oh.
But were you aware? You were at Oyarefa, OAB. I think on 25th of August, Ghana Water Company brought a notice about water supply. It's going to be, you saw that at Dodowa, Ojibi, Oyarefa, they're not going to get access to water sake of a disruption. Yes. So someone said even Labadi, they are not getting access to.
Labadi, they can.
They should enter the beach.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me here today to review the top stories that we got. And I hope to see you again next week, bright and early. Yes, this brings us to the end of the online and newspaper review here on the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. Up next is the lifestyle segment. I know you've been stolen from you, right? You do the arithmetic and you realize that no, nobody has stolen. Yes. Miriam and her guests will be here to educate us on how to save money, how to be more financially literate, and even be able to manage our finances better. So before I switch to Mimi, we have a comment here from Sefas Dusu, and he says, "Good morning, Clog TV. How can we achieve this SDG target when we fail to do anything about how Galamsey is destroying our water bodies?" Thank you so much for your comment or your question. We mentioned it, right? The water bodies thing, yes. So
last Tuesday, I talked about the River Pra.
I have to also comment that Santehene for distooling two chiefs who were, known for Galamsey activities.
Oh, okay. So they were in bed with them. Oh, okay.
And it is a very remarkable step that we need to commend him for. And I think if other, leaders can take the same measure, I think we'll all get somewhere. Because to distill a chief is not...
It's not a small thing. It will serve as deterrence to the others so that they can also sit up. So, up next is the lifestyle segment. We are going to be learning about financial literacy, managing our finances and saving. So, right after this break, Miriam and her guests will be here to educate us. Call your friends who don't know how to save. Let them come and listen and be educated and informed. We will be right back.